hold your breath for this one. Grab those goggles. Going in the deep sea. Welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. Here are the top 10 unsettling things recently discovered by deep sea divers. Here we go, let's dive in. Number 10. Yellow Brick Road. Deep sea divers may have found the road to Atlantis this year. Yeah, this is a good one. May 2022, this bizarre path was spotted in the Pacific Ocean after an exploration vessel, Nautilus, caught the rocky formation next to Hawaii. The exploration team said in a recent interview with WION News that our corps of exploration have witnessed incredible and unique, fascinating geological formations while diving on the Liliuokalani Ridge. The 90-degree fractures are most likely the result of eruptions from long ago. But volcanic activity, it's not a yellow brick road after all, but it is cool to look at. This area of the ocean is the largest fully protected conservation area in the world, and this explains why. Literally, there's Wizard of Oz stuff happening below. No one wants to tell us anything. Covering more than 580,000 square miles. So far, we've only discovered 3% of the seafloor, so I'm sure there's many more discoveries coming our way. Number 9. Norfolks Royal shipwreck. Okay, so this initial discovery happened way back in 2007, believe it or not, but it was a secret until recently. Now I'm here to tell you all the tea. On May 6th in 1682, a ship called the Gloucester got stuck in a sandbank off the coast of Norfolk, and then an hour later, she sank. Now one of these passengers was the future King James II of England. He escaped in a small boat, thankfully. Quick decision that literally changed the course of history. These two diving brothers found the ship back in 2007, but now it's official, now it's confirmed, so now we could talk about it. Just last month, it was officially announced. This was the lost ship indeed. Maritime expert Claire Jowett calls this recent discovery the single most significant historic maritime discovery since the raising of the Mary Rose. Number 8. Crusader Sword. Me personally, I'm a shell guy. Love the shells, maybe rocks every now and then. I see a nice shell, I'm going for it, okay? I don't care who's living in there. I gotta listen, sounds of the sea. But a sword that once belonged to a Crusader knight? I mean, sure, that's fun too. Shells, swords, they're both good. An Israeli scuba diver, not even that far experienced, ended up stumbling across one of the coolest discoveries back in 2021. Shlomi Katzin was diving off the Carmel coast in Israel, and as well as a badass sword, the diver also found anchors, ancient stones, pottery fragments, all from around 900 years ago. See, me myself, I wouldn't even notice this. It's covered in barnacles. It doesn't even look like a sword, other than the shape, maybe the odd shape of a sword, that's it. That's a great find. No submerged curses, no Mayan ruins, just a nice cool sword. We love that. Number 7. The Great Lakes Griffon. Back in 2018 in Lake Michigan, diver Steve Libert found what he believed was the holy grail of Great Lakes shipwrecks. The Griffon sank back in 1679. Divers have been searching for this beauty for years and years. Now, as a kid, Steve Libert was talking about the shipwreck when his history teacher stopped and said, "Hey, who knows? Maybe one of you will find the Griffon." Imagine that. Your grade 8 teacher tells you that somebody might find a ship, and that somebody ended up being you. Fascinating. So at 67 years old, he discovered the wreck. It was 2018, but his research began 40 years prior. It's a long time coming. Libert began diving in 1981. Took a very long time to track this one down. So if you're in any Great Lakes, keep your eyes open for, 50-foot long ships from the late 1600s. Number 6. Magnificent alien. Okay, tinfoil hats, put them on, folks. Now's the time. In a list of deep sea discoveries, how don't I talk about this little guy? While the rest of the world was in panic mode, a new sea sponge was discovered back in 2020. It was named Advena magnifica, which translates to magnificent alien. Yeah, this sponge literally gets its name because it looks like ET. And to be fair, it looks like an alien. It looks like a literal extraterrestrial. An ROV found this sample over 6,000 feet deep in the Pacific Ocean. They found it in what they called a forest of weird, which is a cool nickname, I guess. Cristiana Castello Branco, the researcher who found this deep sea squishy, explains the discovery in an NOAA interview, saying that all these organisms are intricately connected. By documenting and describing marine diversity, we are building a better understanding of life and the impact of humans on Earth. In this case, in the ocean. End quote. This little guy could be the key to humanity's survival. I feel it. He looks confident, doesn't he? He looks like he knows what's up. Number 5. Comb stars. Ocean life is by far the scariest thing out there. We have no idea what lies in our oceans, and that scares the shit out of me, honestly. We discover some crazy fish every single year. Deep sea fish with bioluminescence are for sure aliens, while others are just natural predators that we haven't seen yet. Like the comb star, for example, which is a starfish that contains tetrodotoxin. Tetrodotoxin is a deadly neurotoxin that can cause paralysis almost instantly. Per every gram of comb star flesh, there's enough toxins to take out 500 mice. And before you ask, no, we don't have an antidote yet. So avoid all the oceans, please. Number 4. Toxic waste. We mentioned in this list a 900-year-old Crusader Sword. That was a good time, but not all discoveries are the most amazing, okay? Many deep sea ROV trips are not ideal. We don't want to discover what's going on down there. We don't want to know. We don't always find a mammoth tusk or a glow-in-the-dark shark. Sometimes we find this. Sometimes we find barrels of waste. This dump site here was discovered off the coast of LA, 3,000 feet deep. ROVs found around 27,000 barrels of toxic waste. Yeah, the 2021 discovery was deemed staggering. I'll definitely agree with that one. You can literally see this aura of toxic waste coming from all these spots. It's brutal. This is horrible. No fish in sight. Wonder why. Number 3. The deepest shipwreck. The USS Johnston was a US Navy destroyer which sank during the Battle of Samar in 1944. It sank after a battle with a large fleet of Japanese warships. Victor Vescovo, who is one of the few people who has made the dive into the Marianas Trench, was one of the people who first stumbled upon the remains of said sunken warship. The ship's remains were first found in 2019 and was known as the deepest known shipwreck, as it was found 6,456 meters deep in the Philippine Sea in the Pacific Ocean. We now have a new record holder, believe it or not. The world's deepest shipwreck was discovered 4 miles underwater in the Philippines. The US destroyer sunk during World War II and it sits at the depth of 22,916 feet. The USS Samuel B. Roberts, or the Sammy B, probably won't be beat record-wise. This is extremely rare and so deep. I can't even fathom how deep this is. Number 2. Mayan Caves. Back in 2018, a diver was exploring flooded caves in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. They were diving around and saw this peculiar opening, so they just had to check it out, right? The divers accidentally discovered one of the largest underwater cave systems in the world. That ought to be fun. It's better than a sword, I guess. A team of divers then explored many kilometers of Mayan history. Bones everywhere, a lot of bones. National Geographic, of course, got involved and explains that these skulls, given the amount found, were more than likely involved in some sort of ancient sacrifice. Yeah, they found an ancient burial site underwater. See ya, I'd go right back up so fast. Many elongated skulls were found, suggesting that the ancient Mayans were up to something a little darker last time these caves were occupied. If curses are real, there's probably a few in here, so avoid them. And finally, number 1, a cursed tablet. We'll end this list off with a super recent discovery. It's small, but it is mighty. This tablet here was discovered and it comes in at just 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters. Very small. Discovered in 2022 in the West Bank, this artifact has historians scratching their heads because it's a couple hundred years older than any Hebrew text previously. It predates the Dead Sea Scrolls by 1,350 years. These ancient letters, once translated, mean to call on to anybody who breaks this curse. There's around 40 proto-alphabetic letters, early Hebrew writing, all folded onto this tiny little lead tablet. Also, the fact that this small tablet mentions the curse of Yahweh is pretty alarming. The sediment comes from excavations done in the 80s on Mount Ebal, so many believe that this is from the ancient stone structure Joshua's altar, which would make sense. The tablet was dated to around 1200 BC, and the chemical isotopes in the tablet suggest that it's from mountainous ranges in Greece, or possibly from the Mountain of Curse. Yeah, the Mountain of Curse, that's a hard pass for me. That's worse than Death Mountain in Zelda. I'm out. Thank you so much for joining us on Most Amazing Top 10. We'll see you next time for some unsettling things recently discovered by deep sea divers.